Hello and welcome to my presentation about the Ultimate Fighting Championship, more commonly known as the UFC, and my proposed changes to their marketing strategy. My name is Jack Bennett and this is in accordance for the class MBA 550 Strategic Marketing. So firstly, what is the UFC? Well, the UFC is the largest, most successful, most well-known MMA promotions company ever made. I'm sure that most people would have heard of them. But moving on, what is MMA? Because most people honestly say UFC and MMA in the same sentence. They think they're synonymous. Well, MMA is an ancient sport. It was invented in 1684 BC by the Greeks in the first Olympic Games. Later adapted by the Brazilians into Vale Tudo, which translates to anything goes, in accordance with the fact that it's any form of fighting, basically. So the UFC form MMA into huge events worldwide, and they stream them on pay-per-view channels worldwide, as well as sell tickets to their shows. The UFC's mission has been recently changed to help promote MMA for it to evolve into a major world sport. So the UFC's history. So the UFC was originally founded in 1993, and it's really seen a unprecedented rise to success since then. Really uncomparable for any competing company or any alike company. They were the first company to organize and sanction MMA in the USA, originally with the goal of finding what they said was the ultimate fighter. Again, that goes back to MMA. So what they deemed to be the ultimate fighter was the fighter from all disciplines, whether it be sumo wrestling or kickboxing or Brazilian jiu-jitsu or taekwondo. They believed that by combining all of those disciplines, you could find the ultimate fighter. To give you an idea of the success of the company, they were originally purchased in the early 2000s for $2 million, and they were sold to their current owners in 2016 for $4 billion. So that really is an exponential increase in terms of their value, and that is a credit to them and their success. Moving on to the UFC's strengths. So, most of the UFC's strengths stem from this statement here. They are the biggest MMA promotions company ever, period. They are dominant in their industry, and that is why their strengths are so large in number. I will not go through all of them one by one, because as I said, there is many, but you get an idea if you look at some of the ones listed on the screen now. So, the UFC's industry and their competition. So the UFC's industry is probably best defined as pay-per-view entertainment. Most of the competition in this field is that of a similar nature, although there really is no direct competition to the UFC right now. As I mentioned, they are very dominant in their industry, specifically MMA, fighting sports, pay-per-views. So most people would actually consider boxing being their largest competitor, although it is technically not the same sport. They do still deal in pay-per-views, and obviously they have a lot more history. They're established, and they do make a lot of money still. Probably the second biggest competitor is Bellator, which is another MMA promotions company, although they are significantly smaller in size. And an honorable mention here would be the WWE. Again, you have to pay to watch their events, although some would argue it's not technically a fighting sport. So the UFC's product. So the UFC is very unique because they don't really have a physical, tangible product. As if you think about it, their product is paid entertainment. So the main two facets of this are ticket sales and pay-per-view sales. Pay-per-view sales being the largest of the two, just simply because you can only sell so many stadium seats, although they obviously still make a lot of money from that. A secondary sort of honorable mention again in terms of product would be merchandise and video game sales, which they do still make money off of, but nothing in comparison to how much they make off of their pay-per-view sales. So moving on to the UFC's promotional strategies. So, firstly, the Ultimate Fighter TV show. The reason why this is a good promotional strategy is that it doesn't require the massive pay-per-view price that the big shows do. So those are normally around $59.99 to $70. Whereas the Ultimate Fighter TV show you can stream for free if you have an ESPN Plus subscription. So it's a cheaper way of attracting fans. Secondly, the UFC fighters themselves. So UFC fighters over the years have grown into celebrities. They have massive personalities. They create good rivalries on the TV, and as a result, they usually have a large social media following. As you can see from the figures on the screen, Conor McGregor, a well-known UFC fighter and now celebrity, actually has nearly double the amount of subscribers that the UFC's Instagram channel does. So they promote the UFC themselves. And then the next two are really smaller ones, but the UFC video game just provides a good option for the younger audience in terms of attracting them to the sport and the UFC in general. And then the UFC obviously has a number of sponsors, and they do advertisements, and these sort of provide the ability to target different micro audiences, if you will, based upon the communities of those specific brands themselves. Next, the UFC's distribution strategies. So it's worth saying to start that the UFC obviously has various different channels worldwide. Each country has their own methods, but I'll be focusing predominantly on the US. So the US are currently 2 years into a huge 5-year deal with ESPN Plus, worth around $1.5 billion, which gives them sole rights to distribute the UFC's events via their ESPN Plus platform and their pay-per-view channels. So yeah, they have full rights for that in the USA. And another additional part of that is they have full rights to the Ultimate Fighter series as well, that streams on their ESPN platform as well, as I previously mentioned. Moving on to the UFC's current marketing strategies. So in terms of traditional marketing, they have some TV ads, but due to the nature of the sport, they can't really be shown during daytime TV hours, so they have limited exposure there. Again, they do have some mention with commercials via sponsors. In terms of billboards, you see those here and there, usually in the big cities, places like Las Vegas, they're more popular. And they do a good job of using integrated marketing with those. Usually you'll see similar images on the billboards that you'll see on social media posts, for example. And then digital marketing. The UFC obviously does a good job of maintaining good use of all of the social media platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok now, and they have a good following on most of those. And again, another mention of the fighters' personal platforms. That's also a large part of their digital marketing, even though it's not technically them that's doing it. So moving on to my traditional marketing recommendations. So to begin, I recommend that the UFC increase collaborations with their sponsors. So as you can see on the left, the picture of Modelo and Brian Ortega, this is really the only notable collaboration that the UFC have, right? And if they were to have more with particular brands, and they have plenty to choose from, it would give them more outreach into the community as a result of being able to access daytime TV, which I previously mentioned they do struggle with due to the nature of their sport. Secondly, I suggest that the UFC develop more eye-catching billboards. So at this point, billboards, we each drive past them every single day. And yes, I mentioned that they do a good job of using them in terms of integrated marketing, but that doesn't make them any less boring. If the UFC were to use more action shots to showcase the sport's best bits, then, or even maybe use video billboards where viable, then the sport's undoubtedly going to become more attractive to the passers-by, and hopefully that would increase the sport's following and the UFC's following as a result. So now moving on to my recommendations for digital marketing. So, firstly, the use of TikTok. So this might seem a little bit outside the box, but the reality of it is it allows the UFC to access an audience which they struggle with massively, which is the Generation Z. I mentioned they use video games somewhat for this, but TikTok is again is booming recently. It's trending. If UFC were to delve into this, they would undoubtedly be able to reach this generation a little bit easier. And again, they have an opportunity to use fighters' personal followings as a result, as an advantage. So if they were to have someone take over the TikTok page, post videos, you can have people from different cultures, different age groups, and you're undoubtedly gonna reach more people via a video platform, just because it seems like it's more personal, more intimate. Secondly, the use of social commerce. So social commerce is a relatively new phenomenon, and its main feature is ease of access. So it effectively allows users to buy directly off of social media pages. So for the UFC, it provides that ability to potentially sell pay-per-views and merch directly off of pages like Instagram. If you look at the picture on the right, it gives you a somewhat of an idea of how that would work. So by introducing social commerce, it effectively reduces barriers, it reduces the effort level required to purchase the UFC's products, which is hopefully going to allow them to sell more of them.